All right. We're not only continuing a conversation tonight, but we are continuing a collaborative Captain's Log solo RPG playing. Collaborative and solo kind of conflicts, but that's okay. I'm Michael Dismuke. I am a blogger on Continuing Missions, which is the #1 fan site for Star Trek Adventures and Captain's Log RPG, solo RPG. I'm also a freelance writer for Star Trek Adventures RPG and the lead writer on Captain's Log. And of course, we are here with the undeniably insatiable Jim Johnson.
Hey everybody, Jim Johnson. I am the project manager and line editor for the Star Trek Adventures RPG and the Captain's Log solo RPG, both published by Modiphius Entertainment. Hello, these many years, also co-host on this here show with Michael, heading toward our 100th episode, which is going to be super exciting here, coming up pretty soon. And we're looking forward to continuing on with our little story here. It's even though it's the Captain's Log solo RPG, you have the means to play it collaboratively, and that's what we're doing with this little mini series of episodes here. So I think we're going to just jump right on into it here and pick up where we left off with Eminent Domain. And I have to admit, Michael, I'm a little jealous. Jealous may be the wrong word, but we're only partway through the first act, and you've already got a title for the episode. And like I'm working on an episode on my YouTube channel, working through it, and like I've only got like the first 3 scenes done, but like I still have no idea what the title of the episode is because I'm not sure what's going to happen next. And like, as a writer, you would plot out the whole thing and then kind of figure out the title. But what you've done here is you've already created the title. So I'm kind of hoping that the rest of the episode kind of like ties into that.
It doesn't matter. We can change it at the last minute. Yeah. One of the biggest lessons I've learned from playing Captain's Log is, especially when you're journaling, is it's okay to go back up and change things.
Yeah.
And people need to know you can do that. You're not getting paid. It's okay. Mm-hmm. So the point is to come up with a good story, and novelists constantly will be in Act 3 and be like, oh my goodness, if this would have happened in Act 1, this would have made this scene so much more poignant. So it's a good lesson in writing, I think. All right. So just to catch people up, you can always go back and watch this. I know we've had a gap of shows in between because we, of course, are continuing conversations. So we want to interview people, fans, writers, creators alike. We have different subjects. But this is picking up as an example of how collaborative play works. Fortunately, we've seen a lot of wonderful stuff on social media about people doing their solo play. We've even heard about groups using Captain's Log for their group play. But me and Jim want to give you an example of when 2 people play collaboratively, how we make a story. Both of us, if you'll recall, have picked our own characters. Jim is a captain. I am playing the XO, and we're going to go ahead and continue. When last we left our heroes, or in this case, our captain and XO, the captain was comfortable on their ship, which is a Reliant class. It was the USS Saratoga. The captain was comfortable after sending the poor XO on an away team mission in a shuttlecraft, along with another Orion shuttlecraft from an Orion ship that was sent to go look for the crash of the USS Birch, which we have not yet fleshed out exactly the details of their mission, involving an ambassador from a species. We haven't figured out completely what that species mission is at this point. But when last we left our heroes, both shuttlecrafts were damaged entering the planet of a post-nuclear planet, so there's storm, nuclear winds, and stuff like that. Our ship, or the shuttlecraft, which we decided to name after one of the writers for Star Trek, one of our writers, the McCarver, the shuttlecraft McCarver, was damaged with sensor damage, whereas more pitifully, the Orion craft took engine damage and disappeared into the horrible hurricane dust storm. And that's when we left it. Anything you want to add, Jim, before we figure out how we continue this mission?
No, I appreciate the refresher, and yeah, I think we left on a nice little cliffhanger there, where we went to an extended commercial break, and things were looking very, very bad for our heroes. So I'm
Yes.
eager to see what happens next here.
Quite scary. Now, for those of you who are on the podcast, you cannot see what we're displaying here. Those of you who are watching us on YouTube can. You're going to be able to see as I journal as we go along, but we'll try to be as descriptive as possible for those of you who are driving and enjoying this while you drive or while you exercise. And we are coming into what would be considered Act 1, Scene 2, post commercial break. And Jim, I guess the first question I have to ask you, since we know that the shuttlecraft McCarver sensors are out and we're in this horrible storm, should we go straight back into that scenario of trying to land, or should we do what is a common Star Trek trope and have the craft have already crashed on the planet and go from there? What's your choice?
It's a good question. I think I think my gut instinct would be to cut to the chase and just assume that both shuttles have crashed, or well, crashed is harsh. Maybe we should have a probability of whether they successfully managed to land or crashed, because that'll influence the story, right?
I like that. I like that.
The Orion shuttle with the engine damage might be in a worse kind of situation. Like, the probability of them landing successfully without injury is probably improbable, I would think, given the damage that was done. So maybe we roll on that for them. And then for the Starfleet shuttle, I think that was sensor damage, right? So that was, I would say it's probable that they'll land without incident. Unless we want to add the complication about the storm into there. Like, I don't know that I want to roll for everybody's, piloting checks or, con checks or whatever, but maybe we go with that.
I love that.
We do a roll for the Orions. Did they successfully land? And then a roll for the Starfleet shuttle, the McCarver, and did they land successfully? So that's where I would go. I don't care which of us rolls on it, but
let's have you roll on it. So first, let's find out did the Orion craft land safely? We both agree that this is highly improbable. I mean, and again, their engines were out, so if they didn't land safely, they basically blew up and died, right?
Right.
Okay,
so I rolled a 16, so they did not land.
DOA. Okay, they are dead on arrival.
Or at least critically injured.
Okay, we'll see if that plays in later. We'll see. They were in the upper atmosphere, lost engines, and went down in a nuclear death storm. So probably dead. No amount of pheromones could save you from that, I'm sure. Okay, so now did shuttlecraft McCarver, I'm typing this out, everyone, that's why I'm talking so sporadically. Did shuttlecraft McCarver land safely? Would you say that's highly probable, somewhat probable, 50-50? What do you think?
Given that they only had sensor damage, as I recall, and their Starfleet, I'd say it's probable that they're going to land without. I mean, there may be some little challenges and there might be some special effects about the storm and stuff, but I rolled a 6. And so, yes, they successfully navigated the storm. And despite the challenges imparted by the sensor damage, they were able to land their vessel.
Okay, good. That sounds good. I think we should ask, did they sustain any additional damage in the land? Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah, I'd say that's probably 50-50. What do you think?
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go 50-50 because they were out of sensors. I could picture them going through this dust storm past mountains or old buildings that were blown up, derelict buildings. And so what did you get on that?
So 50-50 being 1 to 10, 11 to 20. I rolled a 14. So no, they did not sustain any additional damage.
Wow. Aren't they good? Okay. So that's something we could write into narrative about the expert pilot they brought along for this mission. That sounds really good. Okay. Now, is this a place where we cut scene back to the bridge, to the captain, or do we stick with the landing party at this point?
I think there would certainly be and see, this is no. Let me pause. We would certainly want to cut back to the bridge in the narrative, I don't know that there would be any tasks or anything for us to do. I think maybe just a note to say, hey, have a short scene on the bridge with the captain, expressing relief that the McCarver landed safely, and then the captain would need to express their condolences to the Orion ship in orbit, to saying, "Oh, we think your shuttle piled it in."
Okay, I'm gonna have to push back a little bit.
Okay.
For the sake of a story like this, don't you think that there's a little suspense in rolling to see if communications are actually possible between the two crafts, and if there's a mystery on the bridge as to whether there are survivors or not?
And refresh my memory, wasn't there some sensor issues with the storm?
Correct. Yeah. So we already know their sensors went down. Plus, it's a planet that was beta radiation is prolific, is what we rolled before. So do we want to have the ship roll to see if it can actually pierce the storm with its communications?
Yeah, absolutely. So if this is a Star Trek episode, the two shuttlecraft have gone into the storm. They've gone off sensors. The ship is already having issues with the sensors anyway. We would definitely get a cut back to the bridge, with everybody frantically hitting the buttons.
Exactly.
We're get the ship back on sensors here. What's going on? What's happening? I need to know what's happening, the captain would be saying. So we should absolutely try to. So there would be a task here. There'd be a moment of indecision, and there'd be at least a task here to say, okay, ship, you need to, or sensor off, whoever's running the sensors. In this case, it'd just be the ship statistics.
Yeah,
we would need to roll that to determine are they able to break through the interference and actually detect the ship, or are they blind?
Yep.
And they have to make decisions whether they're blind or not. So
when I look at this would be comms plus what, con or science would you choose?
Science.
Okay, comms plus science. So those of you who are can't see right now, comms is 10 on the USS Saratoga, which is a Reliant class vessel. The science is 2. There's no applicable talents. Again, in Captain's log, talents act like focuses, in the sense of if they roll underneath the department level, it's counted as a double success. So right now we need to roll better than 12 with your 2d20 roll. Jim, you want to roll it?
Rolled better than 12.
Yep.
Or 12 is our target number.
Correct.
We don't want to roll over 12.
12 or under. You want 12 or under? Yeah.
All right. Let's see. I've got an 18, and I've got a 10. So we were successful.
Wow. Okay. So communications are successful. Fantastic. And just so you know, where I come in from a narrator's point of view is, that may be something we roll multiple times depending on the severity of the storm or conditions and stuff like that, because that could create suspense in the game. So, but in this case, what's going on then, now that what are you envisioning? You're the captain, your captain. If we remember his name, it's Captain Jinamat. They are near the captain. What kind of conversation are they having with the XO, who's my character, Fofem? She's a Talaxian commander. What does that look like in your mind, Jim, so that I could go ahead and take some notes for when I pump out this narration later?
Before we do that, we should probably also roll for sensors, right? We have communications, but we might not have sensors. We may not know what happened to the Orion shuttle.
So what that would be in this case, that would be a sensors plus science roll.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks like that's a 12 as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to roll on that. And let's see, I rolled a 4. Ooh, I rolled a 4 and a 1. So
wow,
we got ourselves some momentum, or we got ourselves momentum, not some momentum, but we have momentum.
Good. Do we want to save it, or do we want to roll immediately on the momentum spend or advantage spend?
I think maybe we should roll on the advantage. I think we're going to need any advantage we can get in this situation. Either roll it now, or maybe hold on to it and use it later for the landing party, maybe.
Okay. So let's go ahead and save the momentum in this case.
Mm-hmm.
I also think, I don't know how you feel about it, Jim, but I believe in Acts 1 and Act 2, we should be piling on the problems at this point.
Absolutely.
these characters, actually, let's stay on the bridge first of all. The Orions might suspect foul play here. I think we should roll whether or not there's going to be a social conflict element of what's going on in space while the away team is trying to survive and find the USS Birch crash site. So how probable do you think it is that the Orions suspect foul play?
I don't know. I think it'd be kind of somewhat improbable.
Okay.
Mostly because I'm sure they can see the storm. There's a lot of stuff going on. The Federation in general is not known for shenanigans.
Okay.
Compared to like the Romulans or the Klingons, maybe. So I would say it's somewhat improbable that the Orions would think there's something else going on here.
Okay, so go ahead. No, I'm going to agree with you with that. If they do, and I will say that if they do suspect foul play, it's quite possible that they're faking that, because we know Orions always have some sort of duplicitous, not always, many times have some sort of duplicitous plan going on. So they may want to play up the drama for whatever selfish purpose they have, right? So go ahead and roll and let's see if they suspect foul play.
So the question is, do they suspect foul play?
Right.
Okay. Well, I rolled a 9, and someone improbable is 1 to 7. So we just eat out of no, they well, so here's the nuance, right? They don't suspect foul play, but they could pretend they're suspecting.
Okay, so let's roll that. But do they pretend that there is foul play? Now, keep in mind, we established last time that there's something dirty kind of maybe going on between this could determine whether there is something going on between the Orions and the alien that we've named Ambassador Vedby, politician Vedby, who is of the species Hahap Opa R, which we determined are somehow of an origin in this world that is post-apocalyptic. So this role will actually determine kind of the angle the game goes if there is a cover-up going on. So do they pretend that there is foul play for political purposes? Mm-hmm. We could say that question. And what do you think? These are Orions. Is this somewhat probable or 50-50?
I'd say it's somewhat probable.
Yeah, we love our Orions.
So you want me to roll this?
Of course, yeah. Since I'm typing, I'm having you do all the rolls.
Oh, okay. So I rolled a 20. So that means no, it's not probable that they are.
Oh, interesting.
So they're not pretending that there's something going on. So they're interesting here.
Okay, so then this is a question to me. For the sake of a story and creating complications, then is politician Vedby behind orchestrating this whole horrible crash of the USS Birch? We need a villain. I don't want to say villain. We need an antagonist.
Right. Maybe.
So is Vedby behind this entire? We don't need to know what the answer is and how yet. But for the sake of the game, do we want to ramp up some problems and say, you know what, it's probable?
Well, do you want to call that 50-50, or do you want to call that somewhat probable that he's behind it?
I love creating problems, so I always lean in the way of making things horrible. Act 1 and Act 2.
So so you're saying it's probable that he's behind the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
If not, then we're gonna have to roll up more problems.
That's fair. Well, the dice saved you. I rolled a 12. So yes, somehow Ambassador Vedby is behind this whole mess. So
right.
Not sure how that looks yet, how he managed to make the storm happen, but
well, not necessarily this. Oh, well, actually, no. You just asked. Okay, no, you just answered a great question, because if you recall correctly, we had not yet determined what the technology and the science behind the USS Birch, what they were doing there. Uh-huh. We knew it was something terraforming, and we knew he was on the ship, and then the ship crashed. So we'll have to work that out through narrative.
Yeah.
Cut scene back to the OA team.
Well, anyways, let's go back to what you were saying earlier, though. So now we're on the bridge. The captain knows that we have communications and sensors, and we can posit that the Orions don't. and there's got to be a conversation in here between the captain and the Orions to say, you know, did we think that the Orions are suspecting foul play, but they're not playing it that way, and they're not pretending. So that makes me think that the captain probably intuits that the Orions are genuinely concerned for their missing shuttle.
I think that can only happen with an insight plus something else.
Okay, that's fair.
Because then we can actually write in the paranoia or worries of the captain if they don't get it right. So let's have captain roll. That would be insight plus what? Insight 10.
Insight plus command, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yep. So, right. and let's see, do they have any focuses? Oh, you don't have any focuses yet assigned. Did you want to assign one now?
We're doing creation and play, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So what kind of a focus? So what is he trying to accomplish? Or what are they trying to accomplish? They are having this conversation with the Orion captain. And the gist of the conversation is
like to get an honest read on the Orions, right?
Both shuttles got damaged in the crash, or both shuttles got injured damaged in the storm. The Orion shuttle piled it in, and the Starfleet shuttle landed successfully. We expressed our appropriate concerns. We offered to help. But then we're also kind of probing for any insight. So I would say, a focus would be diplomacy.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and add that onto our sheet.
Yep.
Which I'll update and send to you later. So we're going to make the first focus of Captain Jinamat is diplomacy. So if a 4 or under is rolled, that will count as 2 successes. Keeping in mind that we already have a saved momentum.
We do. Yep.
So you can't multiple that up, but
yep. So I'm looking for a 14 and ideally a 4 or under. So I've got a 9. So that's a success. I rolled a 20. I rolled a complication.
Yes.
Yummy, yummy. Yes. All right. So let me pull up my handy dandy tab book here. Let me find the complication table.
Nice.
If you know the page number offhand.
Yep, anyway. 269. And again, for people playing the game, we also have the option to treat this as threat, meaning that we could go look at the generating random threat spins on page 278, and we could roll something on there to make their life more difficult too. So I want to remind people, you can roll on the complication table or you can roll on the threat table.
What would you rather have? Would you rather have random threat or a complication?
I kind of want to go threat because people, I think they need to see us do it.
Okay. Now, in this case, we could roll randomly for what kind of a threat it is, or we can just pick one. What do you think?
Let's see if we can. I'm okay with either one. I think picking one is kind of fun because we are contained on a planet right now.
Yeah.
So the options, so everyone who can't see, it could be hostile alien entity. It could be gravity, psionic incident, ship in distress, subspace, systems failure, temporal anomaly. Which one do you think best suits this situation?
Well, we do have some ongoing system failures on the ship, right? So maybe we should just add to that.
Which ship, the Saratoga or the McCarver?
The Saratoga.
How do we get system failures on the Saratoga?
Well, we already have some sensor issues, don't we?
That's on the McCarver, the shuttlecraft.
The McCarver. Okay.
I almost feel that hostile.
The complication doesn't have to relate to the Saratoga. It could be just part of the story, right?
Correct.
So yeah, so let's add this complication to the away team.
Okay, good.
Make their lives harder.
So we're rolling on the threat table, systems failure?
Systems failure, yeah.
Go for it. Roll. Let's see what we get.
Failure. I'm rolling a D20. I got an 11, which is navigation and flight control. Ruh-roh.
Perfect. So I think that means they ain't leaving the planet in the McCarver.
Yeah, they landed safely, but they bent the nacelle or something.
Love it. Okay.
The RCS thrusters are out of alignment or something.
Okay. So this is good. So we already figured out you had one success in this. So the captain determines that the Orions are being legit.
Right.
But we cut scene now to the McCarver, and this is where we find out that they're inside. And so this is where my character, Fofum, the Talaxian commander Fofum, maybe the scene would open up with them coughing like we always see in the Star Trek episode. The smoke is filling the cabin, and the helm control officer, which we'll name later when narration. It's like, oh, where are we? Sensors were out. Oh, we've cracked both nacelles. We've lost navigational and flight controls. There's no way we're getting this baby off this rock unless we have spare parts.
Yeah.
But they can communicate with the mothership. So I'm going to be the commander in this case. I'm going to say, hey, Commander Genimet, and I'm coughing because of the smoke. This is Commander Bofim calling in. We're not getting shuttlecraft McCarver. I cannot advise you at this point to send another shuttlecraft down until the storm passes. Transporters are down. We are within blank kilometers to the USS Birch, we believe. What do you advise?
Yeah. So before we go into that, though, Michael, I do want to ask you a logistical question.
Sure.
That scene had some important stuff in it, right? We got some meaningful stuff done in terms of the story. We had that conversation between the captain and the Orion. We learned some new information, and then we cut scene from the bridge back to the away team in the shuttle. So does that make a logical place where we would check off another Delta and move into the next scene of Act 1?
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. So basically at this point, let me go ahead and, for those of you who are seeing it, after the diplomacy action that we saw happened,
right,
we would be in Act 1, Scene 2.
Right. So this is the second Delta marked off now. And the reason we're doing that is because, ideally, every scene is contributing to the story. You hit a certain moment where you've accomplished whatever that scene needs to accomplish, and then you're cutting scene, going on to the next one. Once you've cut that scene, you can decide whether it's a success or a failed scene, but either way, you're checking it off and you're moving on to the next scene. So we have completed scene 2. We're now going into the third scene of this first act. And meanwhile, back in the shuttle, the first officer has just done everything that Michael just said. The captain would probably say, well, we can't beam anybody down. It's not safe to send another shuttle down, but we're going to get the engineering team to start hustling to maybe refit another shuttle to withstand the radiation storms. So that would be a little beat in the conversation to say, hey, chief engineering officer, whatever your name is, get to the shuttle bay and start cranking on refitting a shuttle to withstand radiation, the radiation storm, whatever's, technobabble here.
Well, I want to add something else too. I'm looking at the USS Saratoga, Jim, and if you look at the talents, one of the talents is actually high power tractor beam.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I think we should we've been doing this for about 30 minutes now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that makes an interesting place for us to get ready for another scene in another episode.
Okay. This is probably a good place to stop then, because there's all kinds of directions we could go with that, because I see that the ship also has improved hull integrity.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a possibility here where if we decide we need to go rescue our away team before they go to the Birch, maybe we do some daring action where we bring the Saratoga either into the atmosphere,
like the mesosphere.
Yeah, or closer to the planet to take advantage. So our improved hull integrity is attempting to withstand the rigors of the radiation storm. And meanwhile, we're using our high-powered tractor beam to kind of punch through the storm to get our shuttlecraft back. So there's some possibilities there we could play with next time, I guess.
And I think one of the things I would do, because we're still in Act 1, in order to make a story like this really powerful, is a sense of urgency. I think we'll talk about it next time, but I think we need to create some sort of contact with the USS Birch that makes it so the away team has a reason to before you do this solution, we have impetus to go over there and do something.
Okay.
Like a dangerous walk in EVA suits through this environment.
Right. Well, I'm wondering if the sense of urgency, were we, and I can't remember off the top of my head, were we able to scan the birch for life signs?
Nope. Now that we're closer proximity, though, next time when we open up the next scene, I think that's something we should do.
Okay.
Let me put a note here.
Yeah.
Closer to birch and better scans.
Because if there are life signs and maybe they're in danger of being impacted by the radiation, then maybe that's the ticking clock, is that we need to get to them to assess their status and then get them off the planet.
Yep.
Before the radiation takes everybody out, including the away team, because like I'm sure they've got EV suits on the shuttle that they're not going to have to put on, and they're probably not designed to withstand sustained
radiation,
powerful radiation,
plus 600 mile an hour hurricane winds.
Plus 600 mile an hour hurricane winds.
So, well,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. So think about this for a second. This is great. I love horrible situations. Not only do we have a saved momentum, but we also have, and I want people to understand how you do this. We found out that Vedby is behind the entire affair. Yes. But notice I wrote down reveal later. Yep. That's not something at this point in a story you want to reveal. That is an end of Act 2 reveal.
Right.
So we're going to build up, but I'm going to keep these notes here so that we kind of build up to that Act 2. Things are super horrible. We think we're going to die. Reveal. Act 3, heroes can dig themselves out of the mess.
Right.
Okay. This is awesome, Jim.
Yeah, I love it.
So as usual, what I'll do is, now that we've played this, now that once this episode posts, I'm actually going to post the narration too, so that you can go from watching this episode, then you can go to continuing missions, and you can actually see the post narration. I'll send it to you, Jim, of course, to approve and tweak as you want, but that way it can land the same day as the episode, and people can see how we take our dice rolls and turn it into narration in Captain's Log.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome technology.
All right, Jim, wonderful night. Let's head over to our gratitude moment. I'm going to actually head over. Let me stop sharing for a moment, because one of the things I'm going to do is go over to continuing mission. Sorry, I just coughed again. I still am being affected by the smoke in the shuttlecraft. It's happening. And I'm going to shout out some people who've been posting their Captain's Log play reports. We have CC Chamberlain, who on August 21st posted play reports and well thought out insights about their first experiences with Captain's Log. And I have to say, when I looked at their story, not only did they have some of the coolest character cards that they had designed themselves. I still need to ask how they did that. But they posted 3 stories from 3 different Captain Log sessions. And Jim, they include not only the narration, but actually the dice rolls.
Wow, that's awesome.
I was just like flabbergasted with how cool that was. So CC Chamberlain, thank you for showing off your work, because I know it changed how I do my personal Captain's Log. I was like, oh, I got to do this. So I upgraded my story right away. So CC Chamberlain, thank you so much for that.
Awesome. Yep. And tonight I'm going to thank all the fans again. I know I do it every episode, but I'm going to keep doing it because it's important. Everybody who's picked up, and I'm not saying this because you bought the book, but because you picked up Captain's Log and you're doing stories, the important thing I care about is that you're sharing those stories. You're not just keeping them to yourself. You're adding them to the zeitgeist, and you're adding them to the Star Trek universe. You're sharing these things, showing what you're working on. You're getting other people excited. You're getting me excited. You're getting Michael excited. And it's so exciting to see that you're using the tools that we made, and you're making these amazing stories that we can see that you're excited about, right? Like I can see how pumped people are for telling Star Trek stories and unlocking their creativity. And I'm so grateful to be in this position where we were able to do that, but especially grateful that you're sharing those stories. Like I really wanted people to start sharing stories to feed us and to feed me. So thank you, fans, for doing that. Really,
I gotta say, this is a new realm of creativity. I wish that I had this growing up as a kid. And the fact that everybody can join this huge writing exercise is a new art form. it's such, again, it was such a privilege to work on this book, but to see people, how they develop stories and learn how to write. I hope high schools use stuff like this in creative writing classes to inspire people. Like, it's blowing my mind what people are contributing. And again, I have a bunch of submissions that are backed up because I only do one post a day on continuing missions. We don't want to but when you start seeing some of this stuff coming out, it's mind blowing. It's making me a better writer. That's for sure.
That's awesome. And I think I don't think this is going to, I can't imagine it being an issue, but if it is, Al, I apologize. I think Al told me that he's going to be using Captain's Log in his classroom to help students do some creative writing, which I think is awesome. Mm-hmm. And I think, this book literally just came out, right? And I mean, it'll have been out for a while by the time this episode airs, but I cannot wait for fans to finally get to a point where they're all working on this, where we start seeing collaborations among various writers to do like anthologies or to do like shared universe kind of things. Like, I think, Eric Campbell was talking about this on his Twitch a couple of weeks ago, where he wanted to do this whole storyline where like he's an admiral on a space station, and anybody who wants to play could play a captain of a ship stationed at that station, and then they're all telling their own stories, but it's all linked, right? There's so much possibilities here. And now the one thing I'm thinking about is next year I'm going to try to do some conventions, and what I think would be super cool is if I could find a way to do like an hour-long workshop, or maybe like a 2-hour workshop, and just like everybody brings their Captain Log books if they have it, or I'll bring PDFs or something, and then like collaboratively we can come up with a high-level concept, and like everybody in the workshop writes a story using Captain's Log as the tool, and then we can just kind of like see what our results are at the end of the workshop. That would be super amazing.
That would be fun. I would love to see that as a roundtable workshop where while you lead it, I take notes and kind of scribe the story on like a big board.
That would be cool. And
people just take turns yes-anding around the room, deciding what to roll on. That would be deep.
Yeah, that would be awesome. It would almost be like a TV show writer's room breaking a story, right? Beat by beat. It'd be similar to that, except we're using the book to help us sort through the ideas and stuff. So we're using the book as a tool that would be cool.
We could blend it with Hack the Cat. We could blend it. With Save the Cat. I keep calling it Hack the Cat. Sorry. We could blend it with Save the Cat, which says use no more than 40 index cards, no more than 40 scenes. And if we had 40 people in the room, each person could write a scene, and we could actually at the end have what is a real writer's room.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Lots of possibilities.
Okay. Anyway.
IDIC. Live long and prosper. Be safe. Be well. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you again real soon.